Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today we are thinking about simplicity. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, simplicity. That is the topic of our thoughts today. That is what we are going to be thinking about with Miriam. I'm so excited to be picking her brain to hear her thoughts on what this makes her think about. So, Miriam, what does simplicity make you think about?
Ooh, these days it's helping me think about control a little bit. When we live in uncertain times and it's stressful, the number one thing you can do is control your immediate environment. And that
Yeah.
typically means yourself and your things.
Yeah, I
And
like that.
so decluttering that just helps, your actual workflow, your time management, your money, your relationships, and your sense of control and your sense of self. So it's really a way to kind of integrate all the scary stuff into a spot that you can feel nurtured and supported in.
Yes, I love the way that you think about that because I never thought about it like that. You know what I mean? The sense
Right.
of control, because that, if I mean, the way that you put it in those layman terms, it's so real because we can control what happens with our money, we can control
Mhm.
our emotions, we can control our perspective to a degree, we can control our thoughts to a degree, we can control what's going on around us to a degree. So it's just like when
Right.
we start to simplify, then that's our way of being like, how can I control the situation in a positive way? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's definitely how can I be better, make it better feeling.
Yeah.
And how can I use the things I already have? So it involves less. I'm not saying people should retreat from the world these days, but you don't necessarily have to go out into the frantic energy to regain that sense of control. And sometimes being out in the world just feels overwhelming these days.
Yeah,
And
it
so
does.
why not create that recharging space, that spot that can really nurture and keep you sane.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I love that because it really does, because we feel we're like there's this weird wave that people think if I just fill my life with more money, more materialistic things, more clutter, more nonsense, then
Mhm.
I will not be lonely. But that's
Yeah.
not realistic. You know what I mean? You can ask a hoarder
Mhm.
in a house full of nonsense and they will still feel lonely to a degree.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
what is, how did you start moving in a direction where you started to be more mindful with what
Mhm.
you have around you?
Yeah. For me, there was kind of a two-pronged thing that happened all at about the same time. And I honestly can't remember which was first.
Okay.
It was a while back. But I went to the 25th anniversary of Earth Day and whatever it was, 1992, I think. And I learned a lot about chemical things, and I realized I had developed some chemical sensitivities. They weren't necessarily, like environmental disease or, mold toxicity or anything like that. Some things were causing me to have side effects. So I wanted to, especially the smells of chemicals. And so I wanted to switch to more green cleaning kind of stuff. And that
Hmm.
automatically just kind of started eliminating a bunch of tools and products that would be used for cleaning before I made my switch. And
Yeah.
I didn't have a bunch of one purpose cleaners anymore. I had some ingredients that I could create my own mixtures for to solve certain problems. So those connections started getting made. But at the same time, I was going through a bit of a depression. And it was the first time I realized I could bring myself out of a depression by controlling little things that I could control. Some
Hmm.
days I had more energy than others, but as long as I took care of my own business, I would feel productive. I would feel more in control. And so it kind of led to, oh, well, the more things I have that I can't control, can't remember, have to keep track of with my brain, the more likely I am to enter depression and then feel overwhelmed. When you aren't surrounded by 8,000 things. You're only surrounded by 1,000 things. It's easier
Yeah.
to regain control. So
Yeah.
part of it was taking care of myself and how can I make my life easier when I go into a funk. Um,
Yeah.
and between the two, it just kind of happened that I started looking at my consumer relationship with the things in my life and how I was approaching various solutions that needed to happen in my life.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. And I love the way that you put it into perspective with depression because
Mm-hmm.
you're absolutely right. Sometimes what triggers us into go into that depression or just that surface
Mm-hmm.
level depression is the fear of the overwhelming, the frustration is the
Yep.
fact that there's no sense of control and I'm just like about
There's
to
all
go.
this.
Yeah,
There's
like
all
there's
this.
there's so much happening. There's so much I need to do. My to-do list is only getting bigger and wider and
Yeah. And then you
nonstop.
look at it. So, one of the things that's really funny is one of the first things I did, and it was because I lived in a third floor walk up. So, it was 4 floors to the laundry room.
Oy.
And on days when I was exhausted, the thought of doing laundry was just like, oh my God, I can't even wrap my head around it. And then I read, I don't know, there was a bunch of books on voluntary simplicity and things. And I started looking at how many clothes I had. And what if I had, my first thought was, what if I had more clothes? I wouldn't have to do laundry as often. But the amount of energy it took to do more laundry because I had more clothes was even more overwhelming than the thought of just running down for one quick load on a day I didn't have a lot of energy. And
Okay.
so out went a bunch of my extra clothes and a bunch of my extra linens and a bunch of my extra towels. And, like it turns out it takes less energy to do regularly scheduled laundry than and smaller loads that aren't like falling off the hamper and causing issues than it
Yes.
did to wait and wait and wait and wait and wait till some magic day I'd be in the mood to do laundry. It's like, I'm never
Yeah.
really in the mood to do laundry, but
I
you can make it
know.
quick and as painless as possible. Um,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
so yeah, it
I
kind of
like
went
that.
in a few stages. Oh, I'm so sorry. I have a woodpecker on my tree right outside my window.
Oh, how cute.
Oh, it's adorable. Okay, sorry.
No problem. It's okay to have these random side missions in your mind. I have those random farts that in my mind has. It's like, oh, well, look at that. There's a squirrel outside my window. Just I didn't know he can climb that. Like I had that moment the other day.
Yeah,
So you are fine. I just love the fact that you were able to realize like how do I make my life easier? Because
right.
having all of these clothes isn't very realistic for my life and the way that I want to move or how I move in general. Like it's a way of
Yeah.
knowing yourself. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And I'm assuming because you were able to get rid of all these clothes, you don't live in an area that has a whole bunch of season change, do you? Because I
Oh,
do like where do you
well,
live if you don't mind me asking? What's
I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So
Oh,
I
okay,
have
yeah.
4 full seasons. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm still covered.
I mean,
It's just a little bit different.
when I
There's
think
not
of
as many single purpose items as there
well,
used to
yeah,
be.
because you guys don't go through big cha weather changes as much either because you're in New Mexico. I mean,
Oh
I'm
no,
in
we do. I mean, it's
how what's the coldest it gets?
it's been below zero,
Yeah.
not for very long in a row, like
Like
if
only
you're
at
in
night?
Minnesota or something. But
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I'm in
yeah,
Wisconsin. So I'm
yeah.
up north. So I deal with the
Hmm.
negatives for the very long time. I deal with the high heat for the very long time. Sometimes it gets humid, sometimes it gets dry,
Yeah,
sometimes it's all in one day. You know, so for me it's
yeah,
like I when I go shopping, I in the summertime I shop for the winter, my winter clothes, and then in winter I shop for my summer clothes because that's when it's the cheapest and
right.
that's when I'll find it and then I'll have it when I need it in the season. So for me, I'm always thinking about, okay, what am I going to need for my next season? So I think
Yeah,
that's a problem, but at the same time it's like it's not a problem because I'm in the state that kind of requires it. If I lived in Florida, when I actually did live in Florida, I got rid of all my winter clothes. Like I had no jackets, no
Yeah.
scarves, no none of that. It was summertime all the time.
Yeah. So when I started this, I was living in San Francisco where
Oh,
it's kind of
okay.
the same season all year round. There's 2 days in March and 2 days in October that are over 80 degrees, and the rest of the time it's like 57. Um, but it made me realize the power of layering. So I don't think
Yes.
of summer clothes and winter clothes. I think of, can I wear this t-shirt under a sweater? Can it become a middle layer or a base layer in the winter? Um, I rotate things in that way a little bit. And then I have like a heavier layer for winter and skip that layer in the summer, like it's
Yeah.
just a little bit different way of looking at it, but it's whatever works for you. And if you
Yeah.
need separate wardrobes, I have some clients that do a lot of corporate work and definitely need a corporate wardrobe, and then they have their casual wardrobe. So that's automatically a bunch of extra clothes. But it needs to be based on your lifestyle and what you need and what you
Yes.
feel comfortable with. I know not everyone feels comfortable having only 14 pairs of panties, but I seem to make it work.
Hey, exactly. I love that. You're absolutely true. You have to work with your lifestyle. Like whatever that
Yeah.
works for your lifestyle, make it work, but just make it make sense for you. And I think
Yeah.
that's the thing that people really do need to realize when they think of simplicity. They need to not do go by like, oh, my standards or your standards. It's about where
Mhm.
do you live? How does it make sense for you? If you
Yeah.
need
What's your lifestyle?
yeah, what's your lifestyle? What's your environment on the outside? If you live by the Arctic Circle, I expect you to have five socks on. You know what I mean? I expect
Yes.
you to have five pair of pants on. Those layers are real, especially when it drops
Yes.
in the negative. Those layers, they keep you
Yep.
cozy wozy and you are good. For all of the people who don't
Mhm.
understand what we're saying by the layers, well, it's okay. Be grateful that you don't even have to embody that, you know?
Oh,
But it's a real thing. So
yeah.
when I know that you said that when you started the simplicity lifestyle, you started with, cleaning products and then you started with your clothing. What
Mhm.
other avenues have you found very helpful to simplify in your life?
Um, I would say food and cooking.
Oh, very well then. How so?
Yeah. So I came up with this thought that this one was mostly because I was so busy,
Okay.
uh, and I was starting to eat really bad. And
Okay.
so, it's kind of like early meal prepping, but
Mm.
I realized part of the problem with organizing your kitchen and your pantry and your grocery shopping is that we think we need to have a different meal
Mm-hmm.
every day for the rest of our lives. I mean, we collect
Mm-hmm.
recipes, we try new things, and da da da. There is a reason Taco Tuesdays are
Tuesdays.
popular.
Yeah.
When you pre-plan things you and your family like to eat with enough variety that
Mm-hmm.
you can create kind of themed days, and it could be of the month, of the week. So I came up with, what are my 30 favorite things to eat? And I made a reverse cookbook.
Oh,
I love tacos. I love spaghetti. I love beef stroganoff. I love um, pork chops and applesauce. And I just kind of like made 30 different cards with what the food was.
okay.
And I buy those ingredients when I go to the store. And then I don't have to necessarily make it on Tuesday, those tacos. Sometimes I have them on Friday, but I always
Yeah.
have the ingredients for them, or I have the taco meat already prepared in the freezer, or, like there's different levels of prep. For me, I tended to make an extra batch of things and then it's just me. So I would
Yeah.
keep 2 servings out and freeze the rest in 2 servings situations. Because the other thing is, if I make a big pot of beans or something, I get really bored with it unless I freeze most of it. But then
Yes.
later in the month, I already have my meals prepared, so I have this rotation
Yes.
system.
Yes.
But the other brilliant thing is it doesn't keep you from experimenting with a new recipe every once in a while, but
Yes.
it does keep on hand the ingredients you need to make dinner real fast for your family, or throw stuff in the crock pot on the way to work. And so you take a bunch of the decision making out of it. You keep enough in the rotation for fun, but you take most of the decisions out of it.
Yeah, that stress of like, oh, what are we gonna eat today? What is it gonna
Mm-hmm.
be? Or,
It,
oh man, you make a meal for the whole week and it's like, now I gotta eat this again. Like me,
right.
I can only eat leftover. Like I make sure that when I cook my food, I have enough for that day and then for lunch the next day, and then that's it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Nothing more because after that day, after day two, I'm tapped
Mm-hmm.
out, ready for something new. You know what I mean? Like I can't keep
Yeah.
going. Because my sister's the one that loves to like if she makes one meal, it's gonna last her the whole week, and I feel bad for her kids because they are forced to eat it for the whole week, and I'm just
Yeah.
like
Now, little variety is good, but not so much that you can't decide what to eat and you end up going out.
yes,
Or
exactly.
the other thing that occurred to me is it's so much faster to heat a can of soup than it is to actually put my shoes on, go to the car, get everybody's order, go get something, come back. It takes longer to do that than it would have to open a couple cans of soup for the family.
It does, and then to waiting drive through or to order DoorDash or any of those
Right.
whatever Uber
When we're
thingies.
time crunched, we think going somewhere and having someone else do it is better, but is it?
Is
And
it?
don't get me wrong,
Yes.
I love going out to eat, but it's
Mhm.
not for the food or the timing or the convenience or the cost. It's for spending time with friends.
Yeah, yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the food is mediocre and it doesn't even really
Hmm.
taste that good, and the prices are outrageous nowadays. Like
Yeah.
everything costs like $20 just for a plate or
Hmm.
more, depending on where you're going or where you're at. So it
Yeah.
does add up. So having to have that preparation for certain meals is a time saver, because one thing that I do is that once a month or every 6 months or so, I will like go to the dollar store, get those metal containers, and
Hmm.
I will make lasagna, stuffed shells,
Yep.
enchiladas, pre-make them and stick
Yep.
it in the freezer so that when I don't want to have the time to actually set like be in front of the kitchen and stove, I could just
Yep.
defrost it in the morning and stick it in the oven later on. Then that is my go-to, and I got fresh meal with
Yep.
no time and no hassle. It's just a hassle for that one day to prep it all, but in the long run, it saves me time and saves me money because I'm not
Yes.
urging like, oh, I really want some good food, but I don't really want to actually make it. You know what I mean? That really does
Hmm.
come in handy. And I love
Yeah.
that this was your next avenue when it comes to
Hmm.
simplifying your life, because it really does put things into perspective that like there's a way to see the way that we consume food the same way that we consume other things that are around
Everything.
us.
So, yeah, the other tie in with that is the grocery shopping. I
Hmm.
go once a month. Sometimes it actually lasts me a little longer. It depends. So, like, I go between every 4 to 6 weeks. I go to a bigger store and get the bulk of the ingredients I usually use. And then, meat gets frozen, da da da. I go to my corner store, which is only 3 blocks away,
Hmm.
maybe once a week for milk, bread, produce, special treat. I don't buy desserts. So occasionally I will have to go get something for dessert when I'm in the mood for something sweet. I make it hard for myself to eat a bunch of sweets because I will eat a whole cake.
I will
Um
too. I told myself to stop baking because I went into this baking frenzy and I was like, yes, I'm gonna bake a cake. I'm gonna bake cinnamon rolls. I'm gonna bake this. I'm gonna bake that. And I did. And then I would eat all of this food and I was like, this is not good for my hips.
I know. I bake a cake. Luckily, I don't like frosting, so when I bake a cake, I freeze one layer, and I
Um,
only keep one layer out, so I'm not tempted to eat a whole cake, just half a cake.
but does it devalue? Like, does it make it dry when you defrost it, or does it still hold its moisture?
It holds its moisture.
Well, look
You
at
don't
you
want to do it for
sharing
eight
your
months, but
knowledge.
for like, a month, it'll work. Even a
Oh,
little bit longer.
now
Yeah,
I know. Now I
I
know.
know.
I mean,
Um, right?
you got me thinking because now I can finally make that carrot cake that I have in my shell.
Yeah. Or, you make banana bread and you use smaller loaf pans and freeze a bunch of them. There's a lot of ways around it, but two things happen when you tend to have the same basic ingredients in your pantry and in your fridge. Grocery shopping becomes faster because you
Yes.
know where everything's located.
Yes.
Um, you become faster at putting things away because you have exactly the right amount of space to hold the things you usually have on hand.
Mm-hmm.
You become better at making those meals because you're making them more often.
Mm-hmm.
You have the opportunity to freeze some for convenience factors. You still have the opportunity to go to the farmer's market or the produce stand for the fresher things regularly, but you're not tempted to buy an I don't know what to eat and wander around the store and end up with 50 things that you end up in the pantry and that expire and you don't eat and you don't like. I think one of the biggest wastes of money these days for people is buying food they don't really finish before it goes bad,
Yes.
because they don't have a plan. It's
Yeah.
just, you're supposed to have it. Well, why? I don't eat a whole lot of vegetables. It's a thing. I'm mildly allergic to many of them. And so I don't need the same produce stuff. But then I watch my clients who claim to eat produce all the time and we're always throwing their stuff away because it's gone bad. So using this method can save, uh, of the clients I've polled, it saves on average $450 a month for a
Wow.
family
And that's a
on
lot.
average.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
And it takes up less space. Things are rotated more quickly. You don't feel deprived because you always have food on hand that
Yeah.
works
Yeah.
together. And there's no last minute surprises
Yeah,
because
and
you get
there's no
in a routine.
and there's
Yeah.
no fighting. Like, oh, why didn't you eat this? Like I made this.
Right.
Why didn't you eat this? Well, we have an idea. We have a menu. And that's one thing that I
Right.
tell my husband is like, when these boys get older, we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna set a menu because you got to
Yeah.
implement a menu so that they
This
know
is
and I know, we all know, we know.
Yeah. And then you will begin to start remembering what their favorite foods are and not. And you want to, I'm a super picky eater. So it
So is my
but I'm
son.
also not a complaining eater. So I will eat around stuff I don't like. I will eat just not very much of it, whatever it is. But when I was a kid growing up, my mom would give me one option. If I
Mm,
didn't like what she had made for dinner, I could have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or I could have a soup. That was
mm.
it. I had choices of things I could make pretty much myself.
Yeah.
That didn't interfere with her. I could still eat with the family, but I wouldn't be complaining and I wouldn't be forced to eat anything I really don't like.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, those fights about why didn't you make me the right thing? And then I watch all these clients like jump up and make every one of their kids a separate meal. And it's like, no, 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 no.
Yeah. Yeah.
One option.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, well, it's different for my son. Like, the kids will have their option, but they'll have that only one option. And
Yeah.
then we would have our adult foods and we would have our
Mhm.
option. And then that was it. Like, we'll let
Yeah.
them try our
Yeah.
food just so that they can
Yeah.
start expanding their palate. But at the end of the day, the kids have their food and we have our food, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, I think it makes it a lot easier because if not,
Hmm.
it's a headache in itself. And it's okay to feel hungry so that you know what actually food is. So yeah. I
Yep.
am totally with that. Um because it's a real thing. So
Hmm.
we spoke about cleaning supplies, we spoke about food, we spoke about clothes and
Hmm.
laundry. What is one more thing that you were able to simplify in your
Hmm.
life journey?
Yeah. Exercise.
Oh,
I know. It's always so
elaborate.
surprising.
Yeah.
Um, I am hyperactive,
Okay.
and so I'm always moving.
I would have never told tell.
As I'm like, um, I must pass. Um, so I need to move a lot. And I also have a bunch of joint issues. So sometimes it's hard. So me joining a gym and going and pumping a bunch of weights or getting a bunch of equipment never quite worked out. But what I do is I don't think of it as I got to go exercise. I think about it as I have to go move.
Mm,
I have to release this energy. It's like getting grounded. It's like I have all this electricity built up in
yeah.
me. I got to release it. And part of it's stress, part of it's hyperactivity, part of it is just we live in a vessel that likes to move.
Yeah.
So instead of saying, I don't have time to, how can you build in exercise into your day? Is it with cleaning? Is it for walking a little farther to your car? Is it from taking a few extra trips up and down your stairs to put the toys away? Is it doing more lighter trips? You know,
Right.
people will try to bring
Yeah.
everything in from the car in one trip, and it's like, well, what if you took each back separate and you had to get all those extra steps in? It's a way to slow your brain down and to just incorporate. And hand in hand with that, you know, you don't need fancy weights. You can use a couple cans, you can use a couple water bottles, whatever it is that helps you. Maybe it's dancing today, and maybe it's walking in the park tomorrow when you're already walking the dog. Maybe it's pacing back and forth while you're on the phone with a friend. Maybe it's actually getting a set of weights. Maybe it's making the kids do yoga with you. Everybody gets a little energy released, you know? Like, how can you incorporate it into your day? Um and yeah, just movement. But it
Yeah.
also ties with some of the food. So I said I don't buy dessert when I go to my big grocery shop.
Yeah.
I made myself a rule. It's one of my rules of order. I don't eat dessert unless I walk to the store to get it and walk home.
Mm. Entices you to,
Isn't
well,
that
it's
weird?
burning. Yeah, I mean, it burns something along
I'm
the
still
way.
eating cheesecake a couple times a week, but I got to walk for it. And I think it just models great behavior for kids too. When you consider how you're doing things, the physical things, and how you are eating and how you are moving and how you are accumulating.
Yeah,
Um, I think
I
it
agree.
all helps. Every
It
little
does.
bit of motion helps your stress level, people.
Oh, absolutely. I absolutely agree. Like we can feel it building up inside of us. Like the other day I was feeling anxious for no reason. And so I
Mm-hmm.
was just like, I need to move. And so I grabbed my stepper and I grabbed some weights, and as I was stepping, I
Mm-hmm.
was moving, and I was just like, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
feel better. And it's just like my
Yep.
husband was like, you're doing the most. And I'm like, for you, it's doing the most. For me, it's exactly what I need. I am listening to my body. And I don't think a lot of people even listen to their body enough to know that they need
Mm-mm.
movement. They need something to release and process what they're going through. Because what we feel
Yeah.
inside, if we allow it to linger and stay, it creates like pockets in our organs, in our intestines, on our skin,
Mm-hmm.
in areas that don't need that buildup. So when we release it and move it out of us, we have a different
Yep.
perspective, different outlook, and our body feels better.
Yeah, and all of these exercise programs that are out there are based on the same thing. We are resetting our nervous system through
Hmm.
movement. Sometimes it's slow and deep, sometimes it's fast and frantic, sometimes it's shaky, sometimes it's smooth and flowy. But what it does is gives your brain and body a chance to reconnect.
Absolutely. And we need to give our mind and our body that reconnection,
Mhm.
because we may not think of it because it's like we're whole, we're one being.
Mhm.
But in reality, there's so many different compartments that makes us that we may not see it.
Yep.
Until we do, it's like you're never gonna value how your system works. Like one time, they I don't know what's exactly it's called, but it's like there's this museum, or that it's like this exhibit, I should say, that they reveals to you how the body actually works, and it shows you
Oh,
the
the
muscles.
human body with
Yes.
the plasticized humans. Yep.
Yes, and they show you how the blood vessels work, your muscles
Mhm.
work, they show you everything. And ever since I walked that exhibit, it made me realize, wow, how amazing is our bodies?
Mhm.
How amazing are we as human beings to have everything already set in place that we don't really even have to think about it. It's just we
Yeah.
operate it. We just have to kind of work with it as a team. And I think just living a more simplified lifestyle, it gives you that awareness and gives you
Mhm.
that control of what you were talking about, and it makes you put things into perspectives about like what matters to me, what
Mhm.
do I like, how can I handle this, you know what I mean? It really puts things
Mhm.
into perspective. And it sucks because time
Yeah.
is catching up to us. So what can be some lasting words that you can leave us off with to keep on thinking?
Mm. I think that taking care of yourself and your home is the ultimate self-care.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a mask, it's not nails, it's not dessert. It can be, but it is actually taking good care of yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because
Mhm.
people don't think about it like that. They really don't.
No.
They
And
don't consider it in that aspect. They think, "Oh, self-care Sunday. Here comes my face mask." And
right,
it's like, "Okay, but what about your home? Did you clean out that closet? You know what I mean? Did you get rid of that
right.
clutter?"
Well, and it's not a chore. It's
Yes.
an opportunity for self-discovery
Yes.
and empowerment.
Yes. That's what
I'm
it
just
is.
I'm That's what I think anyway.
I'm with you there, Miriam. I'm with you there because I feel you. Because when you think about it like that, and you switch to the scenario from
Mhm.
being something negative, like oh I gotta go to work or oh I gotta do chores, you can see it as an opportunity. Like
Mhm.
I am so blessed to even have a job because there's other people out there that don't get to even work or they are unable to
Yes.
do so. Or I am so grateful for the fact that I get to walk 3 blocks to my corner store because in
Mhm.
other places they're 20, 30 miles away and they have to drive. You know what I mean? So it's just
Right.
like we need to really see things in a different perspective and really flip the switch and see how much opportunities we really have in our lives.
And see how everything's connected. So our
Yes.
mindset, living from a place of abundance doesn't mean acquiring a lot. It means knowing things will be available when you need them. It is your productivity. How much time and effort does it take to do this the easier way
Mhm.
versus a simple way? How
Yeah,
much time, effort, money, um, yeah, it's all connected.
it
What is
really
it
is.
costing in terms of my relationships when I'm this stressed out and running, running, running and not stopping to pay attention to anyone, including myself?
Exactly. It takes a toll. It takes a
Yeah.
toll on ourselves and our well-beings, and then it ripples effects into our environments, into our relationships, into our friendships, and we don't even realize why this chaos is that we're feeling, but it's like maybe you don't need a lot of the things that you think you need. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
that
Oh,
bigger reflection, that deeper moment to just sit with your thoughts and be like, and if you're looking at your closet and just like, why do I have all of these clothes? That's a real question. Why do you have all of these clothes?
get discerning. Discern between your needs and your wants and discern which of those tops you actually love, not just have.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that. Thank you so much, Miriam, for this
Yes.
opportunity to pick your brain on this topic. And ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did, go check out Miriam. Have access to her website that has access to so much great content that she has to offer the world just so that you can continue on thinking. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening and wondering, maybe Miriam has some other tips that she can provide me. Yes, she does. She has a pocket full of them. You know what I mean? Drawers full of them. Abundance of ways for you to simplify your life because if she was able to do it and she started back in 92, a year before I was even born, then she has so much more for us to even think about more. So go reach out to her personally. I'm pretty sure she's not going to close the door on your face. She's going to open you up and realize there's so many other things you can simplify your life in that you don't even know. So take advantage of the opportunity and keep on thinking. Bye.